For the first time in 2024, the Velocity Online Racing IR-18 series takes on a road course, and it's a road course we have not seen previously in the history of this league. Welcome to the Netherlands, as it's the Circuit Zandvoort, race number 5 of 2024, and the IR-18 series returns. Open qualifying is in session with 9 minutes remaining on the clock. Great to have you all once again on FTN. The Saturday doubleheader kicks off overseas, and qualifying starting after a doubleheader at Phoenix. It's another different type of racing, but this time it's not 2 races but 1 road course event. Definitely going to be a different format, and as you can see, drivers are racing off the pit road already to get their qualifying laps in tune. And as it's been for the past few weeks, I'm David Kreutz alongside Gary Gotzo, bringing you all of the action for 48 laps of nonstop racing. Gary, we talked about this just before the broadcast got going. It's a different style of racing today for many reasons. Not only that it's a road course, but the different package we see with these IR-18s as they take to the track, much different from that of an oval. Can you break it down quickly? What are the big things to keep an eye out for?
Sure. Well, good to be back, and thanks for everyone for joining us. The biggest thing is we're basically doing a European style when we're coming to qualifying here. So we're in open qualifying where all the cars are on the circuit at the same point, just like you would see if you watch a weekend Formula One race. And unlike the oval where you have the track all to yourself for 2 laps, you're basically going to get against the entire field for about the better part of 10 minutes here. So we're watching everyone trying to put down their best time on red tires. So the biggest thing that you're going to see is different sidewall colors on these tires. You have the sidewall reds, which are the alternate, the Firestone alternates. Those are the sticky tires that don't have the longevity as the prime tire, which is the black sidewall tires, the more traditional looking tire. Although we've been hearing with the some of the refresh that they've been doing with Indycar since they've re-signed their license with the service, been hearing that these red tires can go as long as 16 laps in some cases. So we'll see. But this is another thing we're going to see that we haven't really talked about also in any other style of racing with the IndyCar is the push to pass. So, okay, we're getting in the gimmicks now, right? Well, you get a momentary boost of horsepower for about 20 seconds. You got 10 pushes of the button, and we'll be tracking that through the course of the race. It will impact, if you use it too much, it will impact how your fuel mileage is. So if you're running close on fuel, you might want to not bash that button a lot. But there's a lot of different things at hand. So we're talking about different tires, different qualifying format, different package on the car, a lot more downforce, and push to pass.
And one thing about qualifying, we also have to mention, no push to pass in this session, and all the drivers, for the most part, are running that alternate Firestone rubber. Now, it doesn't look like we're going to have to start on the qualifying compound, which sometimes we see every driver looks to be taking on with the alternates, and right now, we're seeing it's going to be Tien van de Velde at the top of the board, then Sebastian Kinder with Craig Forsyth, then Ian third. So, at this moment, 2 laps have been taken for the drivers that have been on the track since the very beginning. Expecting to maybe see 5 laps out of these drivers in total as Pedro Bibel goes to the top of the board. And this is a large enough track where you're not seeing a lot of drivers bunched up right now. Everyone's got their own room if they're taking competitive laps. Looks like separations for about a second and a half in most cases. So there's no real shortage of room. However, I think that's definitely going to change when we get into the main race here, because you're going to see the push to pass in use. A lot of that horsepower coming down to how close you are to the next driver, and we're going to see that strategy play on all throughout the race. Also, we have to keep in mind that pit window. Right now, qualifying, of course, the fuel doesn't matter as much, but we're expecting multiple stops, so keep that in mind here. You got to set yourself up with the compound swap. Maybe it'd be best for these drivers to take on the primaries first, keep the alternates at bay until the very end. That's a potential strategy in mind. With 48 laps, longer than IndyCar open sessions on iRacing, that might be an applicable strategy, but right now, everyone's going for the fastest lap, and Pedro Bibel currently has it in his number 88.
Yeah, with 4:45 left to play, Bibel with a 1:17.2. We have P2 Velde. He is a 1:17.8, so he might want to go back out there and try if he can get some clean track to maybe improve that time. We got Jordan Hale, P3 with a 1:18.2, Kinder 1:18.6, Forsyth, your points leader. We'll talk about that too, 1:18.6. He is not known for being a road course ace, but he's normally very consistent. So we'll expect to watch him, especially if he gets a good top 10 start. Bruno Miranda now to the top, not quite top, but P2, 117.7. So I imagine he wants to probably give it one or two more tries with the fresh set of tires. No tire limits here when it comes to qualifying. You can reset anywhere on the course and then go back to the pits and slap on a new set of reds and knock yourself out. As long as you can do it within the time allotted, you are good to go. A lot of the tires, a lot of the controls that we talked about in the car are also not available to the drivers this week. There's since we're not on an oval, there's no need for the weight jacker, so any of the adjustments are going to be handled by the roll bars, the anti-roll bars, the front and rear anti-roll bars. And they'll also probably be adjusting the brake bias as the run goes on and as the fuel load lightens. Only 80% here, and you mentioned that the Oval, the Indy Open Series, the official iRacing Indy Open Series, they did 31 laps here, and that's with 100% fuel tanks. We're at 80% here, so we expect at least a couple stops before they get to the end.
So expect those pit stops coming very soon, of course. Racing just moments away. Pedro Bibel is still the fastest. You mentioned Bruno Miranda went quick, now second in terms of being on the top of the board. Julian Altena moves up into fourth, and right now your top five are within 1 second, and only 12 drivers have taken a time to this point. So still a lot of opportunity for drivers who have not gotten out of the track just yet, with 2 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. The track is still getting crowded up here, so if you haven't gotten to the track by this point, there's definitely reason to do so very, very soon. Few drivers do have qualifying bans, but for most of the field, that is not the case. So expecting maybe one or two drivers to take a time from this point onward. Cesar Cabral is now taking one in the number 70. Cabral did not have a lot of fortune in Phoenix in both races. Was quick at the front of the field and got involved in two separate instances of incidents in both races. Now fifth on the board, just ahead of Sebastian Kinder. So some drivers are looking for rebound races. Some drivers are looking to extend their run in the points ring. Of course, we mentioned Craig Forsyth. He's your points leader overall, and right now he is ahead of Jesper Orman, who will be in second. However, Jesper is not here for the time being, so we'll see whether or not Orman, who has 2 wins in the last 3 races, decides to come in. But in the last seconds before we get going, it looks to be pretty unlikely. Craig Forsyth will have a chance to extend that points lead so long as he keeps it up in front. Top 10, top 15, keep it calm and consistent. He should be in good standing to maintain the top spot in the pylon. Bibel still the quickest. Hugo Gallas on the track now, and it looks like 13 drivers have now taken a time. Bruno Miranda still second, and your top 3 separate by half a second.
And just to give you an idea of what the real world times here for open wheel Formula cars, Formula One races here now, they don't count qualifying laps as the track record. They always do race laps. I prefer to know what you're qualifying in the optimal conditions. But all I can give you is the race lap here. So the race lap is 111 flat. So we're about 6 seconds off that in these heavier Indy cars. And that was set by Lewis Hamilton, who announced this week he's going to Ferrari next year. So that covered up for the bad news from Andretti Motorsports. But that's Formula One world never ceases to stop revolving. And this is one of their tracks that they will return to coming up on the schedule. Recently redone. It's got 2 signature corners. They're high banked here. We'll talk about them. The final one has a pretty high banked. And there's the one in the middle, which is what we call turn 3. That's a bit of a signature corner as well. Not a lot of places to pass here, though. You got to wait for the guy in front of you to kind of make a mistake. There's no high braking zones and a 90-degree turn that you could kind of get a hairpin outbrake somebody and get the pass on them here. So all your passing is going to have to be done really on the racetrack or in the pits. And I say on the racetrack, well, way to go, Gary, you're a genius. No, I'm talking about you're going to have to do it without the aid of a braking zone, really. That's what I'm talking about. Or in the pits. So we will see. We just completed qualifications, and Bibel, I think, might have locked it in with a 117.2 for pole position.
Still a bit of extra time for drivers who are still on the track, but I think everyone who's planned for a serious run has taken their laps. We're seeing Bibel come across that off-camber final corner. The banking is almost akin to an oval overseas back in the States, but that's actually one of the more course, less common features in road course racing, but one of the most infamous features of this circuit. High speeds. Expect to see a lot of drivers crossing past the 175-mile-an-hour boundary as they get to the first corner, off the final and down the front straightaway. We're going to see high speeds, and the intricate layout gives way to very little opportunity, as you said, Gary. You really have to wait for a mistake and try to push to get a mistake out of your fellow competitors, because otherwise you're going to have a very tough time in terms of passing. There's a lot of opportunities on pit road, a lot of opportunities to see drivers make mistakes, but we've got a very strong field once again, and I'm expecting especially those front runners to give us a show worth watching here. At the line, Sebral goes up to third, Miranda to fourth, so 2 good runs there, but I think that's the final of our competitive times. Everyone else is on pit road, and I think that means Bell locked it up.
He did, and Julian, this is a home game for him. 115 or 117.5 goes to P2. So starting up front, had a bit of he was in the Indy Open Strength of Field race that I was covering a little bit earlier at 1 o'clock from Texas Motor Speedway, and he had a bit of a more rough race than he wanted there. But so he's looking for a little bit of a recovery. I was asking his chances about possibly doing a double today, winning at Texas and winning here, and he's like, he downplayed his experience here. So I don't know if he's sandbagging us right now or what, but pay attention to Julian on the front row, the 117.5, and Pedro Bybel, of course, with the provisional pole now, as we just go triple zeros across the board on the top. So we're getting ready to go racing now. The pole is official, 117.2 for Bybel. Good start for him.
At a very quick time at the top of the board, your top 2 drivers separate by 0.3 of a second as we get to know your starting grid. Without further ado, this is the lineup for the Viper Racing Grand Prix presented by Gary Lovern. At the top of the chart, it's Pedro Bybel with a 117.268, and as we mentioned, it was Julian Altena, also quick, but not enough to get that pole. Hometown hero, second place with a 117.584. Cesar Cabral coming back after 2 dismal performances in Phoenix, both regarding incidents later on in the going. Now there's a chance to come back with a nice rebound race, starting third, hoping to end up in the podium as well, to 117.698, just ahead of Bruno Miranda. Team Van de Velde is going to round out the top 5 with Sebastian Kinder in 6th, and Jordan Hale is then going to be in 7th in the number 7 car. 8th place is then going to be occupied by Matthias Strauss, with Craig Forsyth, your points leader, qualifying in 9th. Alarak is going to be the number 10 driver, number 72, Alaric van der Bos.
Moving on down the line here, outside your top 10, fitting Dakuna, P11. John Christensen is in the 12th spot. Jordan Kurnow in 13th. Solvazzi, 14th. Josh Tucker, 15th. Hugo Gallus, 16th. Bart Feuerstein, 17th. Eric Mikado in 18th. Donskoy, who coming back from a pretty good showing in that second race on the oval, 19th. Gary Lovern, our sponsor for today's race, in 20th. Paul Urban, P21, and Amatori, I'm saying this right, Cesar Pavello, also from Club Brazil. Very strong Indycar contingent from the Brazilian country there. P22 to start the 22-car field, so slightly larger than what you see with a average Formula One race, but I think we're going to see a lot of action all over with 22 cars.
And time to see that action come into life. We got a 5-minute warm-up session, 22 drivers here, and this track only used to usually 20, so a little bit bigger, as he mentioned, the F1 grids, but tonight we have a chance to go a little bit further, which I think more drivers often gives better racing, but push comes to shove, some people disagree. Tonight, though, we won't have to experience that. We got a good field here, 22 strong, and they're looking to take to the track with 2 minutes and 30 seconds time before the grid is in formation. As it stands, nobody's taken a complete time so far. The Zandvoort Grand Prix, presented by Viper Racing, coming up very soon, and not a lot of drivers are going to have that chance to get to the stripe for this first lap, but some minor adjustments could be made here in terms of strategy. We're looking right now on the broadcast feed at Patrick Zilvazzi. He's one of the drivers who had a qualifying ban as a result of the racing at Phoenix. Right now, he is on the primary compound, getting a feel for the difference here. So, Gary, that's a very big concept today that I don't know if all the viewers, they might not know it immediately. It's primary versus alternate. How big is that going to be as the race progresses here with 48 laps on display and the mandatory compound change?
Yeah, well, it's a strategy call that they're going to make at the beginning of the race. Each of these teams, in fact, will take probably to the last possible second to load in, because what they're doing there, a lot of them with teammates, they're having the teammate load in and say, look around, tell me what's around my position, who's got what tire on, and then they'll make a decision to put the tire on. So probably what you see, those further up front, probably going to be on the reds. I'm just going to guess. There's going to be someone up front that's going to gamble and go on the prime. And it's going to be imperative for that driver on the prime to somehow get around the drivers that are on the alternates. Otherwise, he's going to lose time. Then further on back of the field, that's where you're going to see a lot of people going strictly to the prime because they know they have to stay out longer because of where they are from qualifying for track position. So there's a lot of strategies going to be at bay. And sometimes that strategy really isn't called until the last possible second when everyone gets a look about kind of what everyone's unveiling around them. And that's just one of the strategies you could do in iRacing. In real racing, you really can't do that. You kind of roll out to the grid with what you're going to go with, and that's it. Here you can kind of take a peek at what your competition is doing before the start.
Perhaps our first surprise of many, just 20 seconds away. Second practice coming to a close. Patrick Zovazzi appears to be the fastest driver in the session, and right now he'll be on pit road. Bart Firestein is going to be in second with 4 uses of the push to pass. We have 10 in the full race, so you got to make sure you lay off that button as the real event gets into progression. Patrick Zovazzi, fastest in warm-up today, the final pre-race session, and now it's time to get to know your starting grid as they get in order for a 48-lap spectacle in the Netherlands.
We'll start seeing how people are going to load in here. We'll get an idea of what we're going to get for tire compounds here. And it will take a second because everyone's going to, I'm telling you, everyone's waiting until the last second here before loading in. They're going to find out what's going around. So looks like Miranda's committed to the alternates, Seb Kinder to the alternates, Jordan Hale to the alternates, Cabral to the alternates. I don't see anybody on further on back. McLovern, I think he is committed to the prime. Silvazzi's to the prime.
Greg Forsythe looks to be the prime, and I think in addition, Eric Mercado and Gary Lovern.
Yep. Yeah, so not surprised with Forsythe going to prime because he knows that his primary competition is not here going to take points there. So he's already started in the top 10. I think he just really is looking for a nice, consistent run here in the top 10 and starting with these longer-lasting tires. I'm thinking he's going to stay out as long as possible and then make a short sprint there at the end with those red sidewall tires. So, yeah, he's the only one. Everyone in the top 8 has the alternates, and everyone from 10th to 13th has the alternates. Like I said, a little bit further back, starting with Feuerstein, Mikado, McLovern, they're on the prime, so we'll see as everyone gets underway.
It's a familiar strategy for Craig Forsythe in particular. Wednesday night, I called an event with the Arrow Broadcasting Network at Watkins Glen. He played the exact same strategy, started with the primary compound from qualifying, and took the alternates later in the race. He ended up dominating that event, leading 32 laps out of 40, and took home the victory in the Senegal Lake Grand Prix. Tonight, though, he's not starting as far up in terms of the starting grid. It's the number 88 of Pedro Bibel who's got full control as the field heads through the final off-camber corner and gets ready to get rolling here in the Netherlands. The Zandvoort Grand Prix to begin in just a moment's time. Presented tonight by Viper Racing. The iRacing official pace car is off to pit road. Let the racing begin. Bibel's got the green flag, and we're on the move here in Zandvoort.
Julian cutting across the nose of Cesar there. Cesar tries to outbrake him going into turn 1. It's going to cost him about 3 positions, but Julian went defensive and kept his P2 starting spot. But while he was trying defensive, Bibel actually has a little bit of a gap now, 6/10 already.
An early gap growing for your race leader, Julian Altena, maintains second. Already some drivers using that push to pass.
Yeah.
Alaric Vandenbos, one of which, and now we're riding on board with the number 72. He's already 1 use down, 10 uses available to all drivers, and Vandenbos and Cabral, the first of which to make use of the feature tonight. So you have to keep that in mind. If you use it this early, you got to start thinking about saving it up for the remainder of the event. Most of these drivers on the alternate compound to start. Matter of fact, only 5 of which in the field are not currently on the alternate compound. So it's going to be a sea of red in terms of tires right now, and we got a load of trouble. It's a dancing action.
Van de Velde.
Looking further back, losing a lot of time there. It's going to be Van den Velde back on the way, but losing actually 12
he had
seconds
a little bit
in
of a
one
wheel
lap.
bang, little bit of a wheel bang with Bruno coming through that tight corner area. One of the few chicanes or slow passing areas. Here they're going through turn 1. So the next signature corner they're coming up against is turn 3, and it's the high banked corner. You'll see here just a second. There it is. And that is banked at 19 degrees, so just a little bit more than Michigan.
And taking a look at the incident again, going through the banked corner, it looks like Van den Velde gets just a little unsettled. Luckily, it doesn't look like major damage, but should be back on the way.
Just hitting those curbs, bouncing off them.
And now back on the move at 16th position, trying to make up a few spots right now, getting a bit closer once again to Hugo Gallas. The rest of the field gets away well on that first lap. And right now, Pedro Bibel for the taking has nearly a 2-second lead and clean air as we look on board again. Wow, very good early start so far for Bibel, able to pull away from Altena and company. And that first turn really made all the difference.
Yeah, much like Formula One, where they have standing starts, though, we had a rolling start here. He wants to get out, just break away, get out of that draft envelope. Now in Formula One, they have the DRS, the drag reduction system, which drops a flap on the rear wing and allows more flow through and less drag. Here, not such a thing. You can push to pass anytime. You can use push to pass even to push and defend if you want to. So if Julian wants to catch him, he's going to have to probably hit that button a couple more times than he wants. That's going to impact how long in this first stint he could stay out, because he's using a little bit more horsepower every time he pushes that button. You got, like I said, 10 pushes, 20 seconds of activation time, and it adds about 50 HP to the car, if not a little bit more, depending on the manufacturer in the real world. And that will impact how long you can stay out in fuel at each fuel.
Most drivers have used no push to pass so far. Actually, one driver's already used 2. That's going to be Vandenbos, and Miranda, who's now in 3rd, has used 1. Same goes for Cesar Cabral, so it's not completely out of the ordinary to this point, but you got to think about it. 3 laps in out of 48, you have a lot of time. You do not want to waste your biggest assistance so early.
Right, and some of it could actually be down to these guys have been on ovals for the last couple of weeks, and they forgot to map the button, which we've seen before in the past. But you just got to be aware of, make sure that you're prepared for race day, and that means making sure your button mappings are right. But leader by 1.7 over Altena, 7/10 over Miranda, Cabral 1.4 on back from Miranda, Kinder half second back from Cabral. So the top 5, about 3-4 seconds of one another right now, still pretty close. Not a lot of racing going on, and I think a lot of that has to do with just not a lot of places to pass here.
And we saw one place to pass. It was down the front straightaway. Eric Mercado got around for 18th against Paul Irvin, but he had to use a push to pass to get that done. It's very tricky to make these passes, even with the slipstream coming out of the final corner. Yeah. High speeds don't automatically translate to passing zones on this circuit. We see a lot of long flowing corners, but they're immediately put back into those technical sections where you have to drop it several gears. Now we're riding on board with Eric Mercado, and you'll see he goes down a 4th gear and gets it back on the move to 5th, but you can see very technical, having to shift gears consistently. He's coming up on some tire smoke from Gary Lovern, and it looks like right now Lovern, one of the few on the primary compound, and having a little bit of trouble finding that speed right now. Of all the drivers on primaries, Craig Forsyth holds the highest position in 10th, knowing the rest of the field eventually has to go to primaries no matter what.
Still, we got 21 cars running. There's not been a lot of attrition early on with people running off or spinning under acceleration because their tires are cold. Everyone's kind of taking it smart. They're coming through. We're watching. Here we watching right there, McLovin on the screen there.
Now looking at Yaroslav Donskoy, there's a battle. This is going to be 4-14.
Yeah, it's a good little battle.
Yep. Going at each other closely. Donskoy, who did not have the opportunity to qualify today, trying to make spots back up. Breakout race number 4 of our doubleheader. It was the second of which had a lot of speed, really almost a winning speed, but just wasn't able to make it happen. Strategy really caught him out.
Yeah.
Right now, hounding the
wrong
back
time
bumper Christensen.
strategy. Yep. Wrong time strategy for him. He pitted, and the yellow came out there on the ovals, and that's almost a death sentence. But he's racing. Taking a look at the inside, and there's one of the few passing areas. Hangs on, takes it, and he has the position going through 9, coming into 10. And
Holds on. Wow.
That's Christensen. Might be having an issue. Just letting 10 on by. Now, 10's recovering from an early banging of wheels with Rand in the top 5, so he's wanting to get through all this. Now, his strategy is going to change, too. Now that he's lost all that track position. He started in the top 5. Now he's back in the mid-pack, and he's going to be wanting to maybe pit early than everyone and maybe go right to the black tires as soon as possible.
And we'll see whether or not that's the case. I think for Van de Velde, of course, now the biggest thing is about charging and letting other drivers get the work done to make those passes. Donskoy is aggressive right now, and it's actually going to be very close to Team Van de Velde, but he's working and looking at that.
And Van de Velde has actually spun out, and I think he collected partial contact with his teammate John Christensen and lost his front end. So now a bad day has gone even worse. And hopefully he knows he doesn't have a front wing on this thing. Otherwise, he's going to find a hard time making it through these corners at super high speed.
And it's just gotten a little bit worse again. Van de Velde was charging very hard. You might have seen it there. Chasing down Donskoy, went deep into the corner right behind Yaroslav, and it looks like it just came out from under him immediately after. Might have been fine, but Christensen nowhere to go, and John just ends up making that contact. I don't know what else Van de Velde can do here. Losing time, and now down to 18th. Doesn't look like he's going to be in jeopardy of going last, but has to come down to pit road.
Yeah, absolutely has to stop. If he does, I'm sure he's getting the meatball. I'm sure he handles like trash right now. Just get in there, go ahead and get it fixed. You're still too early to pit, so he's still looking at another stop. But just go ahead, get in there, go put on another set of reds if you want to, or go put the pair of primes on now, and then you're gonna have to stop again, then go back to the reds. So he has a couple different options, but his day for a good result is questionable now at this point.
And it looks like it's going to be Amaury Cesar Privado who ends up in the grass at the same time. So trouble at the back of the field. Privado still ran 21st and last as Van de Velde comes in. And we saw on board with Van de Velde on that pit entry, down to as low as first gear through the corners, so really all out of whack there. Pedro Bibel still maintains control. Closest battle involves Donskoy, Zilvazi, Forsyth, and now Jordan Kurnow as Yaroslav Donskoy goes very wide. He's on the charge still, trying to make his way up to the top 10 as Forsyth has a lot of pressure right behind him.
Yeah, but he has another car that's on an equal set of tires as he is, so that helps a little bit. But Silvazzi's going to want to get around him, obviously, and even more so Donskoy, who's on the red tires. The good on those red tires is quickly running out. The timer is running, and they're about halfway through a stint now on those red tires. Here comes Silvazzi on the inside of Forsyth and Donskoy tries to follow him through.
And gets close, but just not enough there. Zilvazi uses the push to pass, gets right by, and that's another use of the push to pass out the way. We're going to have only 8 right now compared to Forsyth, who has 10. And wow, Forsyth destroyed.
And Forsyth. So that's now contact for your points leader, and he is damaged.
And Forsyth gets back in the way, but wow.
I'm going to take a look and see what happened there.
We're going to take a look again, yep. Trouble for Forsyth. We saw Donskoy trying to go in, and they both tried to look for the same room.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of net code there.
Net code again.
Yeah, because Craig's a good driver. He likes to leave a lot of room, and yeah, netcode is the main beast there. And I think Donskoy might be injured. Nope, he got his wings back. So I saw his wings fly off, but
we saw
they
fall
reappeared
off here too. But it just came back on immediately. Wow.
So I imagine Craig's not happy, but if he goes back and watches that, and his side pod is hanging loose right now. I bet if he goes back and watches that, he's wiggling the car, trying to see what else is wrong with it. Goes back and watches that replay, he might not be as upset as he probably is right now. He was giving room, it's just the old netcode. IndyCar drivers are frequent victims of netcode here on the service, just because the predictive software that kind of is going to predict a collision sometimes gets ahead of itself and causes a collision on its own. And that's just the state of these cars going so fast.
Looking at another close battle, which hopefully doesn't give way to collisions. It's going to be Matthias Strauss, Alaric Vandenbos, and Finian Dacuna. They're all fighting now for what's the 6th position, and it looks like Jordan Hale might get in the mix as well. Close here, just outside of the top 5. I mean, your leaders have run away. Bibel's maintain a consistent 1.7 second lead since the very beginning of this race, but everyone else is still fighting for spots here, and they're by no means done, looking for room to maybe gain a position or two. Close right now, but it's not as tight as it was the lap prior. Finian Dacuna now putting some pressure down, getting wider through the curb, using all the room possible, and this track is not forgiving in the slightest. I mean, we're seeing how much of the runoff there is. It's minimal in most areas. You go to the grass, you end up in the gravel, you end up hitting the wall. You're not going to see a lot of room for error, which is why small incidents like that of Forsyth or the first few incidents for Tien Vandevelde gave way to some much worse consequences and a lot of damage immediately after.
So yeah, there's a good battle between for Strauss going Cesar Cabral. Something happened to Cesar Cabral. I think he might be done. No, he's back. So he's blinking. So I'm seeing him blinking on and off all of a sudden on my my timing squares. But Matthias Strauss, the gas man of Phoenix, holding back the wave right now of Vandenbosch and Dacuna, who look, I say they look faster to him. In fact, I think if Vandenbosch and Dacuna can get around him, I think they'd pull away at this point. And also peering into this picture, and this is exactly what he wants, is Patrick Zavazzi. He's got, of course, those prime tires on, so he wants this stint to go as long as possible. He wants those guys in front of him to race as hard as possible to use up the goodness of what's left of those red tires.
Zavazzi coming into frame, and that time by, of all the drivers who are battling each other, he was the fastest by over a second. He's still in the 120 bracket, whereas Dacuna, Vandenbosch, Strauss, they're all at least running 121, so he's clearly quicker than them, and he's coming in fast. Has the advantage right now, and as the run goes on with more and more laps being put down, he'll only be quicker. So I think that's going to be a major turning point if he could just gain a few more seconds in the final laps of this stint.
Right, and he's just not faster over 1 lap. The last 5 laps, he's faster over a 5-lap average and 10-lap average of these guys in front of him. So he's just reeling them in one by one, little by little. Side-by-side racing up there in front of him, sorry. And that's going to bring the field even closer to him as those guys race side-by-side.
Looks like about once a lap, these two, in terms of Vandenbosch and Matthias Strauss, they go side by side. There's always one little opportunity in terms of push to passes. They both used more than one. Matter of fact, Vandenbosch is down to 5 push to passes. We are 11 laps in. He's down to only 5. Maybe he doesn't know, perhaps, about the limit because he's halfway down in just about a quarter of the race. So there's a lot going on for this number 72. Very aggressive so far. And also, Strauss has used it twice, but nobody else has used it more than 3 times, save for Vandenbosch, who's now just about halfway through his use of push to pass.
Well, it's on your dash, and there's a little column there for it on your dash and your Pi readout, and it'll tell you how many pushes you have left, and it'll count you down from 10 to 0. But if you're in practice, you have unlimited smashes of the button. You can use it as much as you want in practice. That's why sometimes the practice times don't really mean a lot, because you could be using push to pass to help your time. That's why the qual times are more evident of what's really going on with your car, because you don't have the push to pass button. But he might have had to use it legit. Maybe he just used it as a habit. I don't know, but he should have a reading on his dash that says he has 5 pushes left. And then after a while, you'll say 0, and even when he hits the button, nothing will happen. So when he hits the button, and if we ever ride along board a car that's on push to pass, we'll see that their whole wheel is lit up green, including their pie readout. It will be green border. There'll be green lights flashing on the wheel. They'll know when they're on the button.
And that opportunity for push to pass lasts up to 20 seconds or until you round.
Yeah, sorry, but didn't mean to cut you off. He got into that last braking zone in that chicane. I thought he got a bit more of the kitty litter than he wanted to, but he made it through.
And we got trouble. It's going to be Eric Mikado off of the racing circuit and damaged. He parked it and immediately took it to pit road. Trouble again. Bad. Wow, it's getting crazy. And Mikado lost it by himself there, it looks like. He just dove right into the barrier and nobody else around. We just looked at it again, and he's going to park it. Might be a retirement by force.
Yeah, back end came around. You can see that had a little extra wheel spin, and then just set the back end around. That happens.
Back onto pit road for Mikado, so he'll now be 1 lap down as well. Going to be set to go 21st in the session. And we were going to get a look at someone who was on push to pass, because it looks like during that brief incident segment, we saw it was going to be John Christensen who was on push to pass. Nobody else is right now, and most drivers are separate, but this battle is still brewing, and look who's here. Patrick Zilvazzi's now 1/10 of a second away, the closest he's been all race long to getting these positions back.
Yeah, he's a man on a mission right now. Everybody's going to have to stop in front of him. Pit stops are coming up for the early stoppers. We're thinking about lap 16, so a lot of these guys on the red tires. Was talking with some of the Indy Open guys, and their intelligence on the red tires with the current tire and track model, that you can do 16 on the reds, but you don't want to do much more than 16 on the reds. So they're going to go 16 on these reds here. I don't think anyone else has stopped on pit road yet. Well, there's one. There's someone diving in.
And Zilvazzi going to go for the pass. He's going to go for 2 for 1 on the push to pass. Yeah. One man down a pit road. Zilvazzi takes 2. That was Vandenbosch, who makes his way in for his first competitive stop.
Yeah, so we'll go look at Vandenbosch's car here. And he has gone to the black sidewall tires. So he thinks that he might be done. We'll see. But he has definitely met the regulations with the tire switch.
First compound swap of the day. That's a very important change. Eric Mikado looks to retire. Vandenbosch gets out of pit road, and he's going to be just in front of Craig Forsyth. Push to pass is still being used as we come down the front straightaway. Bart Firestein getting very close now to maybe getting a piece of a lap machine. Whoa, that's a close one, and one driver goes way off the track. How about that? That was Pavado, who nearly ends up in the barrier.
Yeah, that's the braking zone there, the little the paved over area that, he's punched out. So he's going to go for the toe.
And ends up, luckily not destroying the car, but looks like it was stalled. It could not get the engine started back again and has to make it down to pit road, as so does Sebastian Kinder. Kinder's on the way in. Road, yep. Makes it through as well as drivers crossed by the start and finish line. So we're 15 laps in. We predicted to see pit stops around 16 or 17. Some drivers are coming in even earlier than that.
Yeah, they might have traffic in front of them, and they're like, let's just get it out of the way now, see if we can do the undercut. Kinder switches compound, so he has met the regulations. He's good to go.
Yaroslav Donsko are going to come into pit road. We're seeing he's switching from the alternates right now, still marked in red.
Miranda's starting to track down Julian a little bit.
That's right. We're now going to look at the battle here. This is for second, and Bruno Miranda making some time on the all-orange number 11. Altana today going to be running orange as opposed to the regular blue, so a definitely vibrant-looking paint scheme there, much different from previous events, and still running successfully, but we could see a battle here brewing for second because Miranda, that time by, was faster by half a second and looks to be consistently quicker in the past 5 laps.
And that's home team orange. That's that's their national, their soccer team, and just about all their Olympic teams and everything. Their orange is their big color. So if you ever see them, certainly their soccer team, they're all in orange on the field. So that is, not only is this a home game, but he's in the home outfit.
And what I was thinking when I saw the orange was Max Verstappen. We went here in, I believe, 2021 in terms of F1 at least. I remember there was a big controversy about the amount of orange spray coming from the track. It was a huge deal, and there were a lot of drivers, a lot of fans that were talking about that one. So when I think about the Netherlands, I think orange is definitely the color of mine. So Altena representing that home color, as you mentioned, still running very well, and actually Pedro Bibel is slowly but surely getting reeled in. Miranda might be quicker than both of them, but right now I think Altena is making time too, as the pit cycle's really in full swing. Taking a look now, Jordan Kurnow, John Christensen in at the same time. It looks like Kurnow's now going to be in the primary, so is Christensen, so compound swaps for both. And drivers are coming in from the reds, they're switching over, and it's going to be the Blackwall tires to go for the most of these guys on the second stints.
Watching the leaders, let's see if they're going to bypass pit road. Julian is not, but first and third are.
Altena makes it in. Bruno Miranda was on the push to pass. He was expecting Altena perhaps to maybe stay out and use that toe to pass by, but now Bruno is in second and would have been there no matter what. Has 8 push to pass uses, so he's been relatively conservative all throughout the race. Bibel still has all of them as the leader. Cabral is in. Now Altena makes it through as well. Matthias Strauss, Finian Nakuna, they came in as a pair, and that's 4 competitors that are far up in front making it at once.
Yeah, look who's in third. Salvazzi right there with those harder black sidewall tires, like making them last longer, going to go a longer stint.
Big gains for Patrick Salvazzi. Of all the drivers in the primaries, ever since he took it from Craig Forsyth, he has been the driver who's led that brigade, who started on the primary compound. Not a lot of drivers chose to do so. He's up to third, and even though he's 17 seconds back, I mean, definitely shown that you can make this work even if you don't go for the alternates first. We'll see how he cycles out, but right now Bruno Miranda is half a second away from Pedro Bibel, so we were saying the leaders were getting closed into one another. Bibel's definitely losing time. That time through, he was only about 0.2 of a second slower, but they both come in at first and third, now first and second. They're in the pit road together, and it's going to be Bibel, Miranda, and then looks like now we're going to see Matthias Strauss slow, but that's because he's in a battle here, as it looks like more drivers are cycling in.
Yeah, Salvazzi is coming, and I'm about to say he needs to probably stop now. Otherwise, he will be losing time to those drivers with fresh tires that he just passed. So let's get in there, get those changed. He did a good job. He's going to lose some positions here based on sitting still on pit road. But he did a good job. He did his job, and he'll have one more stop to go. But now the leader is Julian. He managed to
cycle that first. Wow. Big change there.
He managed to get the overcut, and is now your leader by a second over by Bell. So a blistering pit stop. And let's look at the difference on pit road. So Julian was on pit road 24.3 seconds. By Bell 24.8. Julian in the box 9.2. By Bell 9.6. By doing the math, there's your difference. Julian is your leader by a second and a half.
So only a few tenths of a second, and they become much more of the racetrack. You think a tenth of a second on pit road doesn't really matter, but when you think about how quick these drivers are, the more time you are back out on the track compared to the pit speed limiter, it's such a difference. And Altena was quicker than Bibel in that previous run in the ending laps. Now we find out who's the best in the primary compound. We're expecting to see these drivers only stay on the primaries for this stint and this stint, I would think only, as opposed to not being on the red in the ultimate compound. I think this is going to be one of the runs that's sort of in isolation, but if you're good on the primary compound, you can maybe bring that gap further and further out. Gives an advantage as the entire race goes on. So for Altena right now, just wants to gain and gain more, a second and a half ahead. Bruno Miranda is keeping Pedro Bibel honest, and the battle for a second has only just begun.
Yeah, your top 8 right now are on the prime tire. 9th and 10th are on the alternate tire. Then from 15th on back, everyone right there, they're on the alternate tire as well, because they've had some sort of issue where they had to stop early. Might as well stop early, put the red back on again, and then I guess it doesn't really matter. I think I probably would, if I had to stop early, and I had to switch, I'd probably switch and then finish the race on the reds, but that would just be me. But Regardless, most everyone's still pretty healthy on push to pass. 9 for Julian, 10 for Bybel, 8 for Miranda. Kinder has 6. Cabral has 9. They got to use them here. They use them all up because you can't take them with you when you're done.
Altino's only used 1, as he mentioned. It looks like right now it's the difference at 1.1 seconds. So Bybel's gaining time once again. Looks to be quicker in these earlier runs as it goes on longer, though. It looks like the advantage falls in favor of Bruno Miranda. That's what we saw in the first 16-lap stint. Maybe we're going to see it again as they come across the stripe for lap number 20. Altina still with the lead, but it's getting closer and closer, and we're going to have to see some defense very soon. Another battle that's brewing. Finian Dacuna and Matthias Strauss, they're working each other over and nearly getting into the dirt there. That's how much of the track you have to use. Every inch matters right now. And coming across the stripe, Finian Dacuna not going to be on the push to pass. He's not used 1 push to pass all race long.
He used it there.
Letting the toe try to do all the work.
Yeah, I thought he would try to use it there, but didn't. But he's got the better of the faster of the 2 tires on at the moment. And they're going through the top portion of that 3 corner. So the fastest way around is through that high line. They're not playing around there. They're just taking the fastest way around.
Matthias Strauss has defended very well, and we've seen that all race long because Dacuna's trying to go wide, maybe build up some momentum. Hasn't been able to find a way right now. And Alec Vandenvos, despite the fact that he only now has 4 push-to-pass instances left, is still up there. And the question's got to be, you got more than 20 laps remaining. How can you manage such a small amount of push-to-passes relative to the rest of the field? Looking at the numbers, the average amount of push-to-passes has to be over 5 still. Every other driver has over 5 at the very least. And we're looking now, push-to-pass used by Vandenbosch again. I don't know why in that short section, rather Matthias Strauss, and you see, gets him the pass, but it's still very close.
Well, depending on where he has it mapped, he might have hit it on accident. But I think we're going to see a pass here. Doing a little bit of a snake down the front stretch. No contact.
And Dacuna's going to use it, but it's going to be one driver flying way off. Vandenbosch in the same spot as Eric Meccano. He has to go all the way to the wide access route. Wow, that's a long exit.
A bit of a punt, yeah. Yeah, that's... I'm wondering if the stewards are going to look at that one after the race. That doesn't seem like... Oh, well. We'll let the racing continue.
Nobody else going to get major damage there. Dacuna down to the inside on, now it's going to be Van de Velde. And we mentioned the troubles early for the number 76 team, now running in the fight for 8th. It looks like right now he's got it. And despite, of course, the troubles with keeping the front wing on early, from outside the top 15 to once again inside the top 10, Team Van de Velde is on an alternate strategy and right now runs on a 14-lap-old stint. I think this is not going to work out for the rest of the race, but still solid running for the time being. If there was a miracle caution, maybe. But I don't think we're seeing full course yellows no matter what. So it's got to be a pit stop, 2 pit stops for the 76.
So we'll look at it for him. He stopped on lap 7. We're at lap 14, so he's halfway through. Well, more than halfway through. Most everyone did a 16, 17 lap run. So he's probably looking to pit here in the next 2 laps or so, as he completes 15, so maybe one more. We'll see. He probably wants to stay out there as long as possible, and wow, Dacuna behind him did a full send. And he used up a lot of the braking, and it's going to cost him some time on the track, but he sent it. And now we got Van de Velde side by side with Strauss. Strauss has much younger tires by about 10 laps.
It doesn't really need to push as much. I think right now when it comes to Van de Velde, there's no reason to directly attack the driver of the 76, knowing he's got to come down to pit road basically no matter what in the time since, of course, the first pit stop. He's been on this run for 15 laps. His pit stops within the next 3 laps almost definitely. So for Finian Dacuna, he's going to get back into 9th, at least temporarily. And I think right now for Matthias Strauss, just keep Finian at bay. Right now, Van de Velde is just playing in the middle as sort of the driver in the sandwich for the fight for 7th spot. Still very close and keeping the pressure on, but really no major implications for the rest of this race. Just trying to make something happen for the time being and hope for a miracle, but I don't think we expect much of it.
And I think we missed a pass for the lead. Bybel is now ahead of Julian by 7/10. So I'm not sure exactly when that happened or what happened. We'll have to run back here and see what happened, but Bybel back to the lead, and I was saying that Bybel probably was the faster of that trio, and yeah, he got him the lap before, coming off of a final corner, coming off of 14, Ari Lyondike corner, and he just gets to run down the front stretch and right on by.
And we're going to take a look at it one more time here in the broadcast to get that pass for lead. This is the instant replay you guys are watching. And Pedro Bybel, who we've seen quick on these early runs, he gets things going very quickly, and we're going to watch it on board with the 88 and see how he put it into motion. Altena runs in second right now, so still going to be inside the podium firmly. But Pedro Bybel makes this move, and we're going to watch how he comes into motion. As you'll see, second half of the circuit coming down. As you mentioned, Gary, our Lyondike corner. And we'll see as he puts it into motion here. Currently finds himself the race leader by a total of 9/10 of a second. Has only used push to pass once, so set himself up very nicely, hits the green, and gets going once again. You can see Bybel rapid fast down the front stretch, and there he goes. That's the pass for lead. We'll bring you back live here, but very nice pass. That's Pedro Bybel to the points.
I think it's funny that they named a corner for Ari Lyondike here at Zandvoort. I don't think Ari ever won an IndyCar race on a road course. I think all of his wins were ovals.
Of course, infamy with a victory at Indianapolis, of course, one of the more celebrated oval drivers, but that is interesting. In the Netherlands, of all places, our Lyondike corner. How about that? Julian Altano still second. Bruno Miranda is third. Patrick Zilvazzi coming up very close on Cesar Cabral. These two drivers are getting really nice rebound races. Cabral, incidents in both races as we see one driver in trouble. That's Bart Firestein, the lap machine. No major damage. Nearly hit the barrier, but right in front of the battle for fifth, gets lucky.
Yeah, it's about the same spot that Mikado had his issue, so I think it's pretty much like a repeat of what's that. And he's, Matthias Strauss off into the wall.
And Strauss gets serious damage there. There's no way to deny that. The number 8 is just about killed and will have to come down to pit road no matter what. The nose cone is flopping. The rear wing looks to be flopping too. Take a look once again. Coming up on Firestein.
Now we were watching Firestein on that one. I think Firestein was letting them by. And I don't think he did anything wrong. I just think that maybe it was just a momentary loss of concentration for Strauss or something. I don't know, but it happens. I've had it happen, and all of a sudden you're off into the wall. But dealing with another car that you haven't dealt with all race long kind of can throw you off.
And the Strauss might have been shaken up by the incident just ahead.
He's stopping. Yeah, he's got to stop. So he's going to get a repair job. We'll see you get a new nose here. Maybe any other damage that got taken care of. Let's see if he's got some mandatories I got to get taken care of. We'll see, depending on how long he stays in the box. No, he's got down new nose. Got some other repairs going on. So it's going to be a longer stop than normal. Probably has some other damage involved there.
He'll be put one lap down, almost guarantee, as it's going to be Pedro Bybel coming across the line this time through. Matthias Strauss on pit road even still. Going to be a longer stop, but the nose cone is, of course, repaired. I think it was the rear wing that also got a piece, so that's going to take more time than anything else. Firestein also got back in the way, got a little bit loose once again. It was a 35-second stop for Bart, who runs in 19th. Only 2 retirees today in Armari Cesar Pivado and Eric Mikado. Those two having trouble and now running outside of the top 20 for Mikado, and Pavado's going to finish in 20th exactly. Going back to this battle, though, because it is still fierce, Cabral, who had incidents in both Phoenix Raceway events, and Zilvazzi, who ended up having a qualifying ban after the Phoenix doubleheader, they both climbed up the track in terms of position considerably so. And now Zilvazzi is going to be fighting for 5th. Cabral has it, but has not given away just yet. It's still a very close fight here as these two battle to maintain a position in the top 5.
So Vazzi up 8 spots. Cabral down 2. He started up front, but he had that bit of a raced a little bit harder than he probably should have on that first lap in the turn 1. Still recovering from that. I mean, one little mistake right at the green flag, and we're 26 laps into this thing, halfway through, and he's still suffering that, chasing down Seb Kinder. So this This whole pack is well separated from the leaders, although Bybel is starting to pull away from Julian. He's now out 1.8 seconds. Julian falling behind. Miranda has been a constant, consistent gap there. Always right there, about a second back, give or take. Not really gaining, not really falling behind. Maybe trying to hit a number. We'll see.
Miranda really comes alive in terms of the later portion of the stint, I'd say.
Yeah. Donskoy in a battle right now with Christensen, a little bit further on back. This is for 14th.
We're taking a look at it right now. It's still John Christensen holding the 14th spot. Donskoy has been up and down the track today. Looked to have some speed early, but I don't know where it went wrong. Just maybe struggling right now after the compound change, was fighting a bit closer up to the top 10. But the pit stop really gave way to a little more trouble. Right now, as they come across the line, 22 laps to go. Donskoy still right there, but hasn't found the room to make a move. Zilvazi's in a close fight still, and these two drivers, Cabral and Zilvazi, keeping each other honest, and Seb Kinder has to look on too, because he might get swallowed up in the action. All of your top 6 are on primary compound. Highest position driver who was on Reds, Finja Dacuna, who's in 7th.
Yeah, and he's 10 laps on that current set of tires, so they're the good starting to wear off on them.
Still far enough ahead of Vanden Bosch where it's not going to be too big an issue. Jordan Hale with a bit of trouble. It doesn't look to be with anyone else right now. And Jordan does not look to have any major damage. Just slid off the track just a bit. Gets back on the way. Hale is running very solid for what I believe is his first race of the season. Coming in right now, he's running in 10th. So a very solid start to his campaign with 21 laps to go.
Yeah, the skipper here, he's down 3 spots, but in the top 10. So he's, for a debut on a road course that's this difficult, that's pretty good. That's real good. So all you're looking at this point is, especially if you're new to a league, is kind of prove your worth to your competitors, show that you're safe, show that you can control your car, show that you can bring it home with a good finish. And he's doing all the things you need to do to impress your fellow drivers going on in a season, because, we don't know later in the season, he might be racing somebody really close. And they'll need to know if he's a good racer. And this is a good proving ground for it right now.
We've seen quite a good bunch of rookies to this point. Jordan Hale is now going to be one of the drivers making his first career start. Liam O'Sullivan burst onto the scene. He's got now 3 races under his belt. We've seen a few other drivers make the crossover, like Max Molina, for instance. I think Donskoy is a rookie as well. So just looking around, we do have a bit of a youth movement in terms of new drivers coming into this league and gaining that experience. And a lot of them have been able to quickly adapt. I mean, we're seeing some breakout races week after week and seeing some very solid results from these drivers that are newer. So the skill gap still might be there, but definitely narrowing in more and more as the drivers gain that crucial seat time. Vanden Bosch down at pit road this time through. He will make it in, and that's going to be his second pit stop of the day with 20 laps to go. He's going to go for a 15-lap stint to go on to a 20 laps.
Yeah, so he went 13 on his first stint, 14 on his next stint. So he's looking to go, 20. It's going to be a haul. He might have to do a splash there at the end, or he's going to have to do some massive fuel conservation. But you talked about some of the new participants here in the league. Talking with the community managers for the IndyCar Oval now, which used to be called IndyCar Fixed or Indy Fixed, and the IndyCar Open Series. They've been saying that since really the license has been re-signed with iRacing, that since the Motegi weekend and I guess it would have been open, and then the first weekend. I'm not sure. Vanden Bosch went off there. The first weekend for fixed as well was, I think it was Motegi, and the other one was the Nordschleife. Participation has been up across the board, not just with regular drivers, but new drivers as well. So these cars are fun to drive. Arguably one of the best cars on the service. And if you're watching right now and you're like, hey man, I want to give this a shot, go out and buy the IR-18. Learn the controls. Get in there, figure it out. Donskoy off into the grass there, or the kitty litter, right there in 10, 11, and 12. But if you're liking this type of thing, you'll find this car extremely fun to drive. And if you've done any like LMP type driving. This race is a lot like the LMP2, I think.
And I'll tell you this much, it would be great to have, of course, more viewers here in FTN. Get to grips here with iRacing. We'd love to have you join the service here. Fantastic platform to get to grips with all forms of motorsport. We got a lot of action all throughout the week, all throughout the year, really, here in FTN. So if you want to stay tuned, this VOR IR-18 series has really been an exciting one so far. We still got battles brewing. Zovazzi has kept Cesar Cabral honest. I think we might see a push to pass this time by. Coming down the straight. Yep, both drivers are using it, though.
He's on the button, so it's push to pass and push to defend, and that was... Go back and watch. You make sure you keep it on the leaders. I'm going to go back and watch the replay. That might have been a double move by Cabral. We'll
and they're
see.
still side by side here. It's going to be now Zovazzi right up top. Cabral's going to maintain it side by side, but Zovazzi gets the pass. Wow, that took several corners to set up.
Yeah.
But in essence, Zovazzi kept it moving from out of the Lyondike corner, got it through the first, and got going again. Now it's going to be Patrick Zovazzi in fifth. He's been waiting all run long to make that pass.
Yeah.
Finally got his way.
Yeah, I got 5 pushes of the button left. Lights up the right front there coming under braking. So that really wasn't a block by Cabral. It looked like a block, but it was... he's allowed one move, and unfortunately it was a reaction. It looked like it was a reaction to the guy behind him, but they made the move instantaneously. So I don't think it was a reaction. He made his one move, but it's very, very close. So as he's probably saying that it was a block, but it's we'll let the track stewards make a determination out of that if he reports it. But it was very, very close. So watching Zovazzi right now going through Ari Lyondike corner 14, that's banked 18 degrees, just like Michigan International Speedway. Seb Kinder coming in for his next to last stop. Or probably for his last
coming
stop.
Through. This begins the real wave here. 17 laps to go. He comes in after what looks to be 16 complete laps. It's time. We're going to see the big onslaught to pit road for the final run tonight by Bell, who leads the way, has 9 push-to-passes left. He could use one every other lap and still have one to spare from this point onward. It's going to be very fun to see how these big 3 up in front, who are still only separate by 3 seconds, play out the final stint, the most important stint that really determines who's got what it takes to win.
Now do we see possibly Julian hit pit road early and do what he did last time, and of course moving on to the I'm assuming he's going to be moving off back to the red tires. So he's going to be putting down blistering laps. Here he comes. Here he goes. I thought he might be coming in this time, and here he is hitting pit road. Good effort on that pit road in. You want to try to carry as much speed as you can up to that cone, and he is going to try to do the exact same thing that he did before on his first pit stop, and that is do the overcut.
And Julian Alton are going to try to make it happen again with a different strategy. Got out first with the undercut once again. Makes it in early compared to his competitors. And it's going to be the hometown driver on the move. Currently scored in fourth.
Long stop.
Yeah, long.
I think he got caught speeding.
That might take away the chance for the win. Almost definitely does. Yeah. Wow.
It's day done for Julian there, unfortunately. Getting caught speeding there. I'm sure he's not happy, and I'm sure it was by the thinnest of all margins. So now, Pedro, their teammates, he probably knows this now, and all he needs to know now is continue to hit his marks, make his pit stop nice and safe, stay in front of Miranda, and this race is his.
Pedro Bibel, now seeing his biggest competitor all race long, face trouble in the final stage of this one. Altona gets back on the way. It's a 64-second pit stop and spent 49 seconds in the pit box overall. That is a game changer. Marcus Regal going to be in chat right now asking how we're doing. Well, I'll tell you this much. This is the most exciting part of the race. I think we're going to be doing great from this point onward. Stay tuned. Love to have you all in the chat room. If you have a favorite driver, be sure to leave your support. This is the final pit cycle, and Craig Forsyth just made it back out. So this is going to become the opportunity for every driver to make a final compound swap. Forsyth stays with the Reds. If you haven't made your swap already, you have to now. It's a penalty otherwise, and we're expecting most drivers to swap over if they haven't done so before.
Bibel's done. He's down on the way. He lost position on pit out to Salvazzi, but Salvazzi still has the pit. Miranda's your leader. I suspect Miranda's probably going to come in this time. I don't think he wants to stay out there any longer than he has to. So we'll see. He's currently going through turn 10, coming down to 11.
He's got about a 22 and a second half, or 22 seconds and a half second to spare. So I think he'll cycle out about 2-3 seconds behind by Bell.
Yeah.
He has to come in this time by.
Yep. But it's going to be a shorter fill, I believe. So we'll see. I don't think he needs a full tank. He is pitting here. All he needs to do is just hit the marks. There he is on the limiter. That's a button that they can push on their wheel to prevent them from exceeding the pit road speed limit. But if you don't hit that button early enough and you go past those cones too fast, that's where you can get the penalty. He's up on the wheel, up on the pneumatic jacks, down, topping off the fuel, away, gone back to the red sidewall tires. And here
Bell's got the lead
Bell,
once again.
side by side. They're coming pit extra. This is going to be close, folks.
He's got it, but it's going to be closer than before. Yeah. So Miranda played it nicely. It's going to be less than a second now.
Yeah.
And keep this in mind, push to pass. Miranda has 5, by Bell has 9. There are only 2 drivers that have not used push to pass. Then second in the pylon in terms of push to pass hierarchy. It's your leader by Bell. Miranda's close, but now when it comes to being aggressive, there's a big disadvantage.
And he has a lap car between him, and lap car moves over. That was nice of, that was Bart. So he just needs to bring those tires up to temperature, and he can start his march if the deficit's not too big. 2.3 seconds at the moment. Seb Kinder has moved himself up to third. Very quietly up to third, up 3 spots. Cabral, 4th. Salvazzi. We watched him. He's 5th.
And the battle of Cabral and Salvazzi looks to be once again separate. Cabral, who is passed, now once again has a 6-second advantage on Patrick and is actually looking now for third. You mentioned Sebastian Kinder, silent today, but now in that final step of the podium after the incident, of course, with Julian Altena. Julian is still running in 6th, and there might be an outside chance for something more as Miranda's down to pit road again.
Did we have something on pit out? Maybe too fast on pit out.
Looks to be a drive-through penalty.
Drive-through. So that now he's still in second because he had that big of a gap to Kinder. Right now, Kinder and Cabral are, you just throw a blanket over him right now. So we're going to have an awesome battle here for the bottom step of the podium. Cabral shoots underneath in 3. Nice pass. Cut over under Seb side by side. They might have just touched wheels a little bit there. Saw some puff of smoke. But Cabral got the position. And Cabral has recovered everything he's lost on that first turn, first lap incident. He is now up to third. We're exactly where he started.
Cabral at long last going to be back in the top 3. These 2 drivers, both of them, have 4 push-to-passes. They're on level standing right now with 13 laps to go. So for Kinder, he knows he really does not have that step up compared to Cesar Cabral, who's now just ahead. The big thing is Kinder's on the primary compound, whereas Cabral is back on the alternates. So it's going to be a bit of a disadvantage in the short term, hoping to reel Cabral back in when it gets to the longer final few laps of the stint. So what's it going to take for Kinder to hold on here, Gary? Because it's going to be a close call.
He just needs to keep him within sight. Just needs to keep him right there, and eventually the good on those red tires are going to give up. And you want to keep pushing him, and that helps the good of those red tires wear off. And eventually, you're right, in the last closing stages, that car should come back to him if he's taking care of his tires. But, I mean, you could thrash the black tires a little bit more than the red tires, but he's also got to be mindful that he's got to take care of his stuff as well. So it's a tough game. So Cabral way up into the green on turn 3 there, but he gets out of it, gets a good launch. So Bell with a 17-second lead over Miranda. So right now, don't want to jinx anything, but this is Bell's race to lose now at this point.
And he's got full control of the field as it stands. Coming up on Donskoy, who would go 1 lap down. Yaroslav Donskoy runs in the 12th position. He's going to be coming down to his 37th lap. By Bell, who's just moments behind, will be coming down to his 38th 8th. Less than a dozen laps to go this time by, making 11 laps remaining here in the Zandvoort Grand Prix, presented by Viper Racing. Gone very well so far. Only 3 retirees. Rest of your field is still running from the very beginning, so some minor incidents, but overall the majority of the field has kept things clean from flag to flag. And one driver that's coming in is Craig Forsyth. No, there's trouble and there's smoke, but it looks like Forsyth got away as he gets back going once again. Still 12th. Craig having a lot of troubles though. He's still 2 spots down to where he started, I believe.
And he's still missing a left side pod, so they haven't slapped on a new one yet. So that's probably hurting him aero-wise, though I'm sure the electronics of his car are very cool. But that cost him a position. He's been floating around the bottom part of the top 10. I think and he's taking a wide exit here to let that car on by. I don't think that was a battle for position, so it's probably a reason why. And that might have been Blybell, actually. So that was the leader. So, yeah, giving the leader a wide berth. Good on him. A top 10 finish might be just as good as a victory for Craig today if he can get up there. But his car, as you can see, is hurting a lot.
Struggles continue here for Craig Forsyth, still on the track, and that's all he can hope for right now. Team Vandeveld is going to be running in the 8th position, and once again going to be involved in a very close battle here with Alaric van den Bosch. These two have been at each other's throats for the better half of the past 20 laps. They've been separated by pit cycles, but they've been relatively close to each other whenever there's an opportunity presented. So now, Van den Bosch is going to find himself holding his own there in the 7th position, but he's got some pressure now from a driver who's on a much different strategy cycle. 10 laps to go. We're coming down to the final run here in Zandvoort, and I think Van den Veld still definitely has one more pit stop in him, or no, he actually pitted and is still in 8th.
Yeah, Vandeveld 3 laps on his current stint, so he's done. But he's racing with a little red in his eyes because he got the boot in the turn 11-12 chicane area by Bruno Miranda, and so I am sure he's not too happy about that. So he's going to be racing head down, eyes red, because he wants to gain back as many positions as he can. He's on the outskirts of the top 7 here. If there's people that have issues in front of him, he might be able to recover those positions as well. He's down 2 from where he started. He started in 5th, so if he can get up to 5th, I would say, if you do a push on the day, that's good, especially where it kind of went for him very early on.
Forsyth now with the outside chance of the top 10. We saw it on the broadcast feed here. Donskoy went off the track, and it looks like Forsyth got back up to 11th here. He's trailing by Bell. Yeah. That's going to help him out for at least the time being. And now Alaric van den Bosch, who did go down to pit road, is going to find himself on the final run of the day for the number 72 team.
Donskoy trying to use the banking to get a good launch off that turn 3 corner. One of the signature corners here at Zandvoort. He's probably got to think, he definitely has a faster car based upon, completion of a car. But Craig has track position, and he's just putting his car in a spot, not blocking. He's not blocking, but he's putting his car in a spot where it makes it really hard for Donskoy to stick a nose in there and make a pass.
Solid defense despite the major difference in, of course, the car's composition. There's no left side pod, and it's been that way since the very beginning of the race, rather, the first 10-15 laps. So for the majority of this one, Forsyth has really been struggling with this car, but still running ahead now of Donskoy, who had that trouble going inside of the gravel track and getting back all the way. Mind you, that was close to by Bell, so that could have caught your leader up. Luckily, that didn't happen, and now we're coming down to 8 laps to go for leader by Bell, who leads the way by 15 seconds. So he's lost 2 seconds since we last mentioned that gap, but such a huge difference. I mean, it's first and second, separated by about a fifth of the track, I'd say. So I really don't think anything crazy is going to happen in regards to the race lead right now. Miranda is pushing, and Bybel, for lack of a better term, might be cruising a bit in a sense.
Yeah. Donskoy, good launch again off 3. He gets a really good launch there every single lap, but he just can't get the car alongside Forsyth. I think if he gets his car alongside Forsyth, Forsyth might concede knowing that his car is not at 100%. But until then, they're battling for position. Forsyth doesn't have to do anything.
He's held off very well to this point, and actually, since he's 1 lap down, he'll have one last working lap to go with. So he's going to have to wait until Bell crosses the checkered flag, and then he'll have the defense done and done. That comes into play too. So since you have a bit of less time on the clock here, maybe you can be a bit riskier. Technically speaking, he's really got only 7 laps to go already because he's right behind Pedro Bell. When Bell crosses the line, that is the race, and Christensen has trouble on his own. He spins out. Donskoy
does a little bit of his exit there in the kitty litter. That's going to cost him some time. Donskoy has 9 pushes of the button left. Now, unless he's close on fuel, he needs to start using them. He might be able to get around Craig.
I think he is close on fuel. Looking at the numbers, he's been on this pit run for 10 laps, longer than anyone else in the field. So he can't really play those games that push to pass right now because he's just been on the track so long. That's exactly the reason.
Forsyth has only been on the this is an 8-lap stint for Forsyth, so 2 laps shorter.
And those 2 laps might mean a lot more right now the way they're driving each other. I mean, they've been aggressive. Forsyth less so. He got by and he's been defending. But right now, I don't think Donskoy is messing around. He's trying to stay right back in the draft of the number 99. Craig Forsyth has pressure. He's been hounded all race long, and it stays that way as Cesar Cabral is once again right there. Cabral's getting in it, and Sebastian Kinder's facing the pressure because now he's got third, but Cabral's close.
Yeah, I told you, Kinder with those tires, that would come back to him. And unless Cabral made a mistake, that's kind of exactly what happened. But I don't think they're done yet racing for that position. And I don't think they're done racing for 6th and 7th yet either.
Wow, very close to the lapper.
Yeah. Lapper gets off. That was Bart getting out of everyone's way.
And both of them darted the other direction. That's going to help out Cabral here. Keep in mind, he's got one more push to pass. Wow, they're close. Right to the gravel trap and ascend.
And that is going to end the hopes of a podium for Cabral. The wings pop on back for him, but his side pod's done. He just, at this point, just needs to bring it home. And now, Julian's looking at a possible additional position out of this. So what was going on there is he was going to try to pinch Kinder down toward the apex there and the kitty litter and the rumble strips, and hoping that Kinder would kind of roll out of it. And Kinder stayed in it and held his line, and that's what caused the contact there. I don't think it was. I don't think it's chalking up to anything malicious. I think it's one of those racing deals. We'll let the stewards make the final call on that one, but I think it might have been a racing thing. But here comes Julian now, seeing a bonus opportunity to get up into inside now, top 4.
And now it's going to be a very close battle. We thought that for Julian, his race was just about ruined, but now I don't think the chance for the podium is there. But being 4th, with all the tribulations in the final stint, it's still a big, big move up. And given the fact that Forsyth, your points leader, has struggled all day, yes, but Uhrmann is not here. A lot of the big contenders, not their days. So for Altena to maintain consistency, it's a big deal right now, even despite the mistake on the final run to pit road.
I was going to take a look on the inside there. Going into 11, now in 12. To run the 13. I think Julian might try to get a run. Julian has 7 push to passes left, and unless he's close on, he might try to get a run down the front straight. Yep, and he is, but they're both on push to pass.
You can see how much better it is for Altena here. Quickly moving down to the inside and keeping it neck and neck. Cabral's not going to make it easy at all. The side pod might be dangling, but he's fighting for it.
I don't know if Cabral knows his side pod's dangling like that. Maybe he got a meatball, but he's not sure what's broken. So he's driving it like maybe the car, there's no problem with it. So unless he has a human spotter would be telling him that you have a side pod that's flapping around. But the pass is done. He might have just conceded the position, just let Julian go. Maybe try to rescue a top 5 out of this day. He's got 7 seconds over Van de Velde. So that's quite a bit of a margin. I think Van de Velde, with his car at 100%, might be able to run this down and make it worth a look there coming to the checkered flag. But there's no guarantee yet for a top 5 for Cabral. We'll see.
Vandeveld has
way
9
around hard
push to
again.
passes, so it is possible.
Yeah.
If you use that and you make use of it in the fastest sections of the track, maybe it's going to be time for this Vandeveld machine to get going. Use them. Make it down to the front straightaway and put the power on. You could gain about a second a lap, and it'll be close. Maybe not automatic, but given the fact that Cabral's got that much damage, it could happen. We could see a fight for 5th at the line if all goes well.
Pedro just cruising. The lead shrunk a little bit to 13 seconds. Bruno's trying. He's at this point, he might just realize that he's not going to reel in 13 seconds here in 4 laps unless there's an issue up front. But he should, he's got himself a 7-second, actually, I think it's a 20-second interval, actually, to Kinder. So all he needs to do is focus and hit his marks and bring the car home, and that's 2 podiums and 2 weekends for him. He won that first race last week at Phoenix, and he wins or gets on the podium for this one. Not a bad 2 podiums and 3 races. You should take that. Be happy with it.
Miranda just got across the final corner here, going to be coming down to the front stretch. 13 seconds, still trying, that is for certain. And Cabral is getting closer again to Altena, so keep that in mind here. The fight is not at all done, and all of a sudden, Cabral is getting very quickly back up to the number 11.
Well, it's possible that Julian might have fuel issues. We'll see. We don't really know the situation in the cockpit. Julian does make time down the straights, and that makes a lot of sense considering the condition of Cabral's car.
Now, Cabral did use push to pass that time through, so that's going to be another instance of using that extra horsepower. Now, 1 left. Yeah, that's very little. Got to make sure you use that at the opportune time here because Cabral still having trouble, and now the side pod's almost blending back into its original spots. It's still dangling, but it's somehow getting back to how it almost looked before. Still 0.7 of a second here. Altena that time by was slower, but no discernible damage. So if all goes well from here, Altena should be able to stretch that gap one more time.
And Julian has 6 pushes of the button left. Pedro has 9. Miranda now has 2. He's on the button right now. Kinder 3. Julian 6. Cesar 1. Van de Velde 9. 3 for DeCuna. I think Patrick Silvestri has done the biggest climb from the back. Although he's not tied for the most. He's tied for the most positions gained. He's up 6. Donskoy is also up 6. But considering Silvestri had a qualification, he couldn't qualify. He had a qual penalty. Up 6 spots with the tire strategy there. It worked to perfection for him. Getting up into the top 10 there, even though it's probably high in the top 10 he wants to be. Getting the top 10 finish out of this deal is just as good as a top 5, I would say, for him.
Certainly now. It's still going to be half a second between Cabral and Altena. Cabral has not yet used that final push to pass. However, Julian has 6 remaining. So for whatever Cabral tries to pull out of the hat here, Julian does have extra defense. So I don't think it's going to be easy, but there's still a chance here. White flag this time by. 1 lap to go, and Babel has been in full control. He's got a 12.5 second race lead, and just nobody stopping Babel from the start of this one.
He's going to go down in Team VOR history as one of the many different team cars. Of course, Julian's won many races here in the VOR series, and then our good compatriot Oscar Fredrickson has won some races for Team VOR. I won a race for Team VOR. Gavin Sanders won some races for Team VOR. So a new winner to the history of Team VOR is getting ready to, within another half lap here or so, put himself in the record books for the team.
Putting himself in the record books in multiple ways here. You mentioned Team VOR, but you also have to keep in mind this is our very first race in Zandvoort. And right now, when it comes to the record books, we're writing on our own history at this track, and no driver has had control of this circuit in any other capacity besides Pedro Bibel. From the very beginning of this one, he held the pole position, he has led the most laps, and even through the pit trials and tribulations, has kept himself consistent, calm, and clean. Coming down to the checkered flag this time by our first overseas trip of the year goes to Pedro Bibel, our winner in the Zandvoort Grand Prix. The battles behind continue. Bruno Miranda set to come home with a clear second place finish. He'll have it there. Runner up at the line. Sebastian Kinder is also going to be third for the time being. And Cabral and Altena, they're still close. We're watching one more time here. This is the battle to the line. Cabral going to stay on the back bumper here. Fifth. It's a huge send
just gonna
all
send
the way
it
down. How about
he
that?
knocks off Julian's wing.
And it's damaged with the biggest send of the whole race.
Oh, and Van der Velde's there. He's there.
And
he might pick up the position.
He's not done yet. Van der Velde's now going to look for a second spot. Both drivers are on push to pass. Altena's got damage, though, coming across the line. Looks to hold off for one. Can't get back to Cabral. Wow.
3 wide at the finish for that position. I can tell you that Julian is not happy. I can tell you that for a fact right now. Van der Velde, a heck of a race to recover, and great finish there. But Cabral just sent it into that last braking zone. I told you, there's not very many braking zones here, and he picked the last one, and he was going to send it, and he did. And that caused the contact and then damage. So I guess at that point, when you got nothing to lose, you might as well. But great win for Pedro. And good win here to start. We're going to be on a little bit of a road course kick here. And he's going to victory lane. Look, no burnouts, no nothing. It's going to act like he's been there before, just like Barry Sanders.
And he certainly drove as if he's been there before. Dominance all race long. Pedro Bibel will put it into pit road and end a fantastic race here in Zandvoort. Results appear to be official at the line. Let's run through them quickly before we get a word from your top three. Pedro Bibel wins by nearly 13 seconds flat over Bruno Miranda, with Sebastian Kinder then in third, Cesar Cabral in then fourth, and Cabral gets it over Julian Altena at the line by 1/10 of a second for fifth. Tim Van der Velde makes it close as well for a sixth place finish despite early troubles. Finja de Cunha comes home in seventh. It's Patrick Zilvazzi in eighth, and Jordan Hale, the rookie, comes home in ninth, with Alaric Vandenbush rounding out the top 10, 1 lap down.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the. I should get out the rest of these results here. I was just looking at the field and then just how everybody did everything so well here today, just surviving. But let's see, where did you leave off? DeCuna 7th, Silvestri 8th, Hale 9th, Vandenbosch 10th, Forsyth recovers to 11th, Kernal 12th, Christensen 13th, Donskoy 14th, Forrestine 15th. Rounding out the remainder of the field, our sponsor, Gary Lover, today. Thanks a lot to him. P16, Hugo Gallus 17th, Paul Irwin 18th. Strauss with an issue down the 19th, Pavado 20th, Mikado 21st, and Tucker, not sure what happened to him, 22nd, as we know he was fast in practice. I'm not sure if he had an issue on the first lap or what, but 22 cars, and top three, Bibel, Miranda, and Kinder. Good day for them.
And today, nobody could top the driver, the number 88, Pedro Bibel, your race winner of this event in the Zandvoort Grand Prix. Top three interviews are coming up right now, so stay tuned. We're getting a word from your fastest drivers all race long. And let's see who's standing by right now. Maybe we're going to go from first to third. Hopefully, got a race winner with us. It looks like right now we do not. We got Seb, however, and I'll tell you this much, Gary. Third place is standing by with you right now. It's Sebastian Kinder.
Hey, Seb, congrats there on that P3. Up 3 spots from your start. Raced with Cabral there a little bit in that final stint. He got around you with those red tires, and then you had the primes on. He just came back to you, passed him, and went away. Kind of was driving there all by yourself there at the end, but all in all, I think you got to be pretty pleased at a third place here on a track that, well, IndyCars don't come to very often at all.
I'm not very proud of it. Like, there's like being said, like I just did a boneheaded move. Cesar just sent it on me, and I just went, oh well, let's go around the outside of that chicane. Yeah, sure. What good could happen? So yeah, this is the first time I got a podium, and I'm not even proud of it.
Well, I mean, I tell you what, maybe in hindsight you'll be more proud of it later. But I think all things considered, on a track that Indy cars really don't come to, and there's not a lot of passing zones here, not too bad of a day. But I know you got a good team behind you. I know you got some shout outs that you want to make to those guys because they help you out a lot. So go ahead and do those shout outs because you definitely earned it.
There's a lot of shout outs because a whole year. I was racing this Indycar. There was no broadcast. It was really tough. So big shout outs to the guys at Team Watson Racing, and especially guys at Team Watson Racing setups. Check our setup at teamwatsonracing.com. NASCAR Pro Indy Pro 2000. We got some of the best setups out there. So little cheeky plug. The guys over at the National Racing Network sponsoring us always. Martin Sports giving me some pretty decent gloves that fueled me maybe to a more aggressive drive. All the guys at Main Intel and Straight Arrow, and also big shout out to Patrick Silvassi, Matthias Strauss, and he's not here tonight, but Ty Richter too. Like, those teammates are amazing, and they've pushed me forward. Yeah, and they're such good people. So yeah.
All right, well, congratulations on that well-earned, finally, a podium finish for you. We know you've been working on it for a while. Congrats, and have yourself a good weekend, and we will see you here at the next race at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's it. We got Julian waiting there in the waiting room. My experience is Bruno probably doesn't come in. He might send a note, but he has English is not his first language, and I'm not sure about Pedro. Might be the same thing, so we might not be getting any other interviews, but Julian is there.
Well, it looks like right now we're looking at Cesar Cabral and Julian Alton, the same voice chat immediately after. I don't know if we're going to touch that. They're not our podium sitters. I don't think it's the right time to work on that one. I'll tell you that much. Wow.
Yeah, we might want to let them. We don't want to bring them into the broadcast booth mid F-bomb. So, and I've had that happen before. So, yeah, let's let them discuss that out. But hey, we got a week off. We're going to Road Atlanta next. This was a great race. I don't think this is it's necessarily a preview of Road Atlanta. Road Atlanta is, I think, a whole different beast, and there's a lot other different passing zones at Road Atlanta. But I think Road Atlanta might be I think it's going to be a lot more of a fun race with Road Atlanta, really, than what we saw here. But Bybel with he pretty much dominated, with the exception of that little bit of a stint where Julian got the overcut on him and got the lead. He ran down Julian, passed him back, and then kind of ran away with it. And then, unfortunately, Julian with the pit road penalty it was the beginning of the end of his day at that point. But Bybel, we've been seeing him on the ovals. He's been in the neighborhood with the leaders. He's been getting closer and closer and closer. Finally gets that result along the same way with Seb Kinder. Seb Kinder's been in the neighborhood of the leaders over and over again, and finally gets that result. And Bruno Miranda, always there at the top, whether you're on a road course, street course, oval, short oval, super speedway, he's always there, and comes home again with another great finish. Points champion or points leader right now is still Forsyth. There's going to be a little bit less there. He finishes 11th. It could have gone a whole lot worse for him. I'm sure he's happy with that neighborhood he finished, but he probably wants a little bit more. But all things considered, he got a little damage there and probably could have finished a lot further down the order. So I'm sure he's going to be happy with those points, and then happy to get the heck out of Zandvoort.
Well, I'll tell you this much. We got both of our podium sitters standing by. So how about this, Gary? Let's bring in our second place finisher. And you can have a word right now with Bruno Miranda, who's now going to be second, and in our interview room right now.
Here he is. Bruno, we don't get a chance to talk very often, my friend. Please tell me about your race.
Hi, Gary. Hi, David. Can the Cesar help me to speak in English, because my English is very bad.
Sure. Who do you want to have it come in here? Cesar? Do you want me to bring Cesar in here for you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, Cesar, we got you in here to translate for Bruno, so go right ahead, guys.
Yeah.
So, thank you, David. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everyone. Minha corrida foi pouquinho, assim, complicada no final, mas estava tentando manter o ritmo junto com o Julian e o Pedro.
Hello, everyone. My race was a little bit tricky in the end. He was trying to find the catch, the same pace as Pedro and Julian.
E no início tentei economizar um pouco de combustível, já que essa pista é muito difícil de ultrapassar.
And the beginning, he tried to save a little bit of fuel because the track is not easy to overtake.
Mm-hmm.
E no final, até na primeira parada iria dar certo, mas acabei sendo atrapalhado por um retardatário na saída do box.
And in the end, the strategy was about to work, but I had problems with some lap cars when I was exiting my pit.
E no segundo pit, onde poderia dar tudo certo, infelizmente acabei pegando a linha branca e tomando um drive-thru.
In the last pit stop, I got a drive-through when I touched the white line there, so that was not nice.
Mas o ritmo estava muito bom, eu não sabia que estava muito próximo do Julian e do Pedro, eu achei que talvez eu ficaria entre os 5 primeiros colocados, mas não sabia que estava com um ritmo, um pace de corrida muito bom.
The pace, my pace was really good. I wasn't expecting that I could manage that. I could follow Pedro and Julian there, so I'm pretty happy with the pace itself.
Apesar do erro na saída do box na última parada, um segundo lugar aqui, correndo com tantos pilotos fortes aqui, foi um resultado excelente também. Queria mais uma vez agradecer todo mundo, toda a liga, o Julian, parabenizar o Pedro e obrigado também, César, pela tradução.
In the end, I'm really happy with the result. The race was really good. I would like to say thank you, Julian, for the organization, and congrats, Pedro, for the victory.
Well, thank you for being here, Bruno. It's good to talk to you again. I know it's been a while, but congratulations on 2 weekends with 2 podiums. You got a win last weekend at Phoenix and then a podium here. So doing well in the points, going on to Road Atlanta next. Hope to see you there. Congratulations and have yourself a great weekend.
Thank you, Gary. You too. Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody.
All right. We'll drop there. Should have thanked Cesar. Thanks, Cesar. Should have thanked you before dropping you out of here. Let's bring down your winner for the winner interview with Dave. Go right ahead, Dave.
And there we have it. Our winner tonight, dominant from the very beginning. I mean, not flag to flag, but you really had control all throughout. Pedro by Bell, you win here in Zandvoort, and you bring back the road courses with a great performance all throughout the day. So how you feeling? Pulling it together and getting the checkered flag as we take on the twists and turns for the first time this season.
Thank you. I mean, it's progress. Sorry for my bad English. I am Argentinian and I don't speak very well, but I will try to do my best.
Do your best. Do your best, my friend. Do your best.
It was progress from the last race. I think this race I can have a pretty much clean race because the other race I crashed, and in the 2 race I got disqualified and can't race, and in ovals I am pretty bad because I didn't race in ovals. This is my first time, but in road I have practiced a lot more because when I practice road since I started with sim racing, so I know road too much. I know better road than ovals.
Seems like that road course experience really helped you out here. Quick and consistent. So what was it like? Strategy, managing every lap and making sure you had enough, of course, in terms of the pit stops. Enough fuel, enough tires to get to the end in one piece and not have to worry at the end.
Yeah, and in the first stint, I have to save a lot of fuel because I was changing the fuel maps and I have a pretty good gap between my car and the behind car. So I was in the first stint, I saved like a lot of fuel. Bruno did too. In the second stint, I did save a little bit less. So Bruno did one more lap than me in the second stint. and in the third stint I saved, but for no reason, because in iRacing you have the fuel, auto fuel. You know what is that, right? The auto
Mhm.
fuel.
Yeah.
It was set to plus one more lap. I mean, for safety reasons, and I was thinking that I wasn't gonna make it, so I have to save fuel for one lap, but it was like it doesn't. I don't know how to say it. It doesn't help, because
Okay.
it was. I will, if I didn't save fuel, I will finish the race anyways.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it was control from just about the beginning to the end there. And I mean, road courses. What's up next on the
Yeah.
schedule? Road Atlanta.
And
It might be another chance for you.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, all these guys are pretty good. Josh didn't race here, and he was quick in practice. And Jesper Horman is quick too. Bruno, Julian. I mean, Julian was pretty fast too. He could have had a chance in this race. Just he was get a penalty for speeding in pit, but he was. I mean, he teach me a lot of coach sessions in this game, so he's the king here.
Looks like it all played out well. I mean, Road Atlanta up next. A good string of tracks through, Pedro. You get it done and win
Yeah.
here in Zandvoort. Is there anyone else you'd like to thank after this performance?
Yeah, Road Atlanta. I know that track. I mean, this track I didn't know it since last week that I have practicing. I know very little tracks in this schedule, but I with practice I think you can get everything. So I want to thank Julian, of course, and all of the team that organized this race and the setup. I think Brandon Traino did it. It's a very good setup.
Mhm.
And yeah, all the people that raced in here, because it was very fun. And these races, I love this.
And there we have it. Dominant performance here from Pedro Bibel, getting the victory and leading the most laps along the way. We thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you to you. So I forget to you for the broadcast and everything.
Oh, you're too kind, man. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Definitely. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Pedro Bibel gets it done and had control, locking it up tonight and winning in Zandvoort. Now, Gary, to conclude the day, we got Road Atlanta up next. Got any thoughts for us before we make our move to our next race?
Yeah, this was Pedro's day, Babel's day. He had the purple lap. So he in road course racing, we talk about the Grand Slam. That's getting the pole, getting the win, getting the purple lap, and leading the most laps, or leading all the laps. He did everything but lead all the laps, but he led 42 of the scheduled distance. So he dominated here. If he could bring that into Road Atlanta next week, we're talking on the back half of the season, a whole different points championship with now a new point contender involved in the battle here. Although it is a different track, Road Atlanta. Indycar is, again, another track the Indycars don't race at for real, but because of the service, Indycars do go there. I believe the closest they've ever had Indycars there was like an Indy Lights race, which they now call Indy NXT. But there is a lot of elevation changes there, and that's going to bring up a different a host of driving style, because these cars don't really like elevation changes that much, and we're going to see quite a bit of that at Road Atlanta. And then there's also a very colorful history of Road Atlanta, which I'll get a chance to talk about when we get there. But it should be a pretty exciting here in about 2 weeks. Give everyone some needed off time, and we'll see everyone back at just outside of Atlanta, not on the oval, but Road Atlanta, the nice road course now.
And we can't wait to head back to the racing. Of course, going to be a break next Saturday, but we'll be back in 2 Saturdays' time. Road Atlanta Grand Prix coming up next on the schedule here in the IR-18 series. FTN is not done today. We've got ourselves a broadcast Saturday night Thunder at Watkins Glen. So keeping up with the road course theme of the past few days, we'll be returning to the twists and turns of Schuyler County, New York. So stay tuned on FTN. This broadcast will automatically redirect you to our next presentation as soon as we disconnect from this one. Be sure to get ready and stay tuned with us here. We got racing all day long. I've been David Kreutz alongside Gary Godso, bringing you all of the action here from the virtual Circuit Zandvoort, and we of course, incredibly thankful to have you watching once again. Pedro Bibel gets the victory. We'd love to have you stay tuned for the rest of the season here in VOR, so be sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel here. Your support is always greatly appreciated. Thank you all for watching tonight's presentation of the Viper Racing Zandvoort Grand Prix, and we hope you all have a fantastic day. Thank you all once again, and we'll hope to see you whenever we're live again on FTN. Good night.